Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and hey, it's time to talk My Hero Academia chapter. I lost the chapter title, but let me tell you guys, I am so excited. This chapter of Hero Academia was a good one. It was a good one. I'm so happy with this chapter, and it's not for the majority of the chapter. I'm mostly happy with the chapter for the last 2 pages, I think. So we're going to talk about the last 2 pages first because it just makes me feel so good, makes me feel so validated, and then we'll talk about the rest of the chapter. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the chapter, so worth talking about. I will also say it's the 4th anniversary of Hero Academia. Pretty awesome. That's great. That's super awesome. 4 years of this. Who would have thought we'd get this far? The people on the color page are pretty interesting too. No Kirishima, which is unfortunate, but hey, they showed about an equal amount of girls. Like Jiro got shown, Momo got shown, Suyu got shown, and Ochako got shown. Pretty much all the popular girls. Oh wait, sorry, that's the wrong phrase. Not all the popular girls. All the recent, or all the showcased girls. Like we're still missing Mina. And in a way, we might not be missing Toru. Toru might be there for all we know. Like, there's a nice white spot right between Momo and Todoroki. Anyway, I'm just stalling for time. Guys, at the end of this chapter, we got a pretty awesome little start of something. The Izuku dream. And man, it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty badass. It's interesting how Izuku's showing up in shadow form. Not gonna lie, that's a pretty interesting detail. Maybe it's just saying that the One For All hasn't really fully imprinted him into the One For All system, but we get to see the start of a weird flashback. Now I'm not sure if this flashback is gonna continue till the next chapter, but it's pretty interesting. Why? Because I have a video about this. I'm gonna show you some screenshots from that video, because at the end of this chapter we're pretty much seeing the start of the flashback, right? Way back when, I had made a video called All Might's Secret Power. The point of that video was just to justify why All Might could have such high intelligence scores in his data book. But the point of that video was I was coming up with things such as, like, my guess was that One For All stockpiles intelligence. And I also had other key pictures like this of, you know, an idea of Izuku being surrounded by One For All users, and then I had another guess ultimately being what if the imprints of the One For All users can be consulted. And when we're seeing this in the chapter, well, we're pretty much seeing this kind of we're seeing the start of this potential mechanic, right? And I guess in the original video people pointed it out, like called it like the Avatar state, you know, from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's what we're pretty much seeing here. So when we're seeing this final page here, not only does it tell us that All Might was pretty much lying to Izuku when he said that the imprints don't matter. What we're seeing here, or not lying, he might legitimately not know. We don't know how much of this is exclusive to Izuku, and we don't know how much of this Izuku's gonna forget. But these final 2 pages, they're ultimately telling us and confirming to us that One For All is not just a physical quirk, and it's not just a weird energy transference quirk. There is also a mental component. Now we can confirm there is a legitimate mental stockpile occurring here. Like, there is legitimate memory being transferred between the One For All users. With that descriptor, we can now say for sure One For All does overall affect mental. Yeah, I guess One For All ultimately stockpiles a mental stockpile. Right now it's in the form of memories, but I do wonder if the author is ultimately going to go down the way of intelligence. Will eventually Izuku be able to chat with the One For All vestiges? It depends. The way I see it, to me it seems like it's only a matter of time that we go that far, because when we consider the whole origin story between One For All and All For One, we kind of know that it needs to happen. We know that it needs to be told. The question is it going to be told in a spin-off, or is it going to be told in Izuku's story? Since it's Izuku's story, however, we can't just get this segment that's totally disconnected from Izuku's experience, right? Since it's Izuku's perspective on the story, he needs to see the story between One For All and All For One, or he needs to be told the story. So right now, it looks like we have the potential avenue for being shown the story through Izuku's eyes. Are we gonna get it right now? Or is someone else gonna come in? Izuku's gonna ask them, and then they retell the story to Izuku. It's still up in the air. Like, we don't know to what degree Izuku has access to the memories of the previous users. Still, this is a really big thing. I'm really happy because it validates that earlier video, one that people said like it might not happen, but here we have it. I'm ultimately very happy with all of this, and it feels pretty good to be able to add more stuff to One For All, because one thing that I did say in that previous video was that One For All is a very boring quirk, right? But then you add in things like this and it makes it kind of interesting. And honestly, when it comes to One For All, if Izuku is ever going to get another quirk, I would believe that it's going to be coming from One For All. Why? Because One For All has touched 8 other people, and touched 9 people in total. Of those 9 people, 2 of them are confirmed quirkless, correct? We know that when One For All was initially formed, One For All came out as a mutation of 2 quirks, that being the giving away quirk and the stockpile quirk, right? It mutated the moment that it was passed on. Knowing that One For All can be forced onto other people, what's stopping One For All from mutating with another quirk? Like, say the 4th One For All user also had a quirk, right? What if One For All, when being passed on to him, took some of that initial quirk, like it mutated into that, let's say, yeah, it took that 4th person or 3rd person's quirk and mutated them together, and it's just the One For All users haven't accessed it yet, right? It's a question like that. The way I see it, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Izuku goes up talking to like the 4th One For All user, and after talking to him, the One For All user is like, hey, I'll give you access to my quirk because One For All has a stockpile of it, or has a imprint of it, such that it can affect Izuku's genetics. That isn't that far-fetched. And when it comes to the nature of shonen manga, Izuku getting an extra power like that, shonen manga always needs to escalate powers. Like in the same way, being able to say that this makes sense and that this was going to happen, that Izuku was eventually going to have a mental interface with previous One For All users. Like, when you look back at shonen manga, tons of other manga have done this mechanic. I mentioned Hitman Reborn before because Hitman Reborn is the most relevant to this situation, I think. But even Naruto had it like from the get-go with the nine-tailed fox and then 2 other people that were shoved in there. One Piece doesn't have it yet, but that could easily change one day. Bleach had it with the Zanpakuto. Toriko had it. Black Clover is beginning to have it. For some reason, when it comes to the manga running in Shonen Jump, this type of mechanic, when it comes to the manga running in Shonen Jump, like, this mechanic is just a matter of time when it comes to the battle shonen. Is it a bad thing? Nah, not really. Now, this part's the most exciting because this is the part that's going to have long-lasting implications for Izuku. The first half of this chapter, or like not the first half, the majority of this chapter, however, has long-term implications for Endeavor. And Endeavor's implications are, well, it's interesting. I'm kind of apprehensive about this first little bit, mostly because where I get one thing kind of correct with the Izuku stuff, the beginnings of possibly getting something wrong with the Dabi stuff is starting to rear its ugly head, especially with the name drop of Toya. One of the points that I had with the Dabi video, talking about whether or not Dabi could be Shoto's brother, was that people weren't talking about that other older brother, but in this chapter they finally do it, and they specifically mention, especially after what happened to Toya, that's pretty concerning. That's pretty concerning. That could be the start of it. With that kind of language, if they told us that the guy had died in a fire, that wouldn't be that surprising, right? So more things adding fuel to the fire of what could have potentially happened to Toya. Now the question is the author just trying to drum up suspense, or is he actually playing it straight? Is he going to troll everyone, or is he going to let the Dabi Shoto brother theory people get a win for this one? It's still not totally confirmed, but it's leaning more and more towards Dabi being actually a family member, even if it's just a little bit. Now, other cool things that we got in this chapter, we got parallels with Actually, there's actually a ton of cool things, and I have to take my time to go through it. I guess we'll go with Hawks. Hawks is showing a kind of different perspective. We see from him that he wants to make a society where the heroes are free, that they are more free than anyone else, and that's pretty interesting because we also see his background. We saw that he was a kid that saved people. Just one day he was so fast he just saved everyone, and then someone went and groomed him into being a hero. So the story that you can see here is that he had his choices taken away from him. Even though he was given a happy life, this wasn't the life that he picked, and because of that, that may be something that's factoring into him. Like, maybe he doesn't want people to have their like choice of life taken away from them. So it's a pretty interesting character perspective to have for this guy, and now it puts him into a situation like this. Type of mentality is the type of mentality that might be okay making a few sacrifices, that might be okay getting a bit dirty. It's one that doesn't really rely on morals, I think. And especially when he says like he wants to make it as fast as he possibly can. That's whenever you're doing something in high speed, that's also kind of like the start of potential problems, right? So on the Hawk side, that's pretty good. We then have the family side with the Todoroki family, and now it's pretty much confirmed to us, right? The author is writing Endeavor in a way that he's going to be trying to get better. Like, he even has the words in this chapter, he's going to try to atone for things. Mind you, not everyone's just going to take it. Natsu is not feeling it. Natsu's like the one that's angriest, and through their dialogue we find out a lot of really interesting things about what just happened in their past. Right? The idea of the kids only being able to watch on as they saw their mother falling apart and only being able to hear Shoto cry, that's a pretty strong message, right? And it's unfortunate, but I think all these things need to be said. I think the people that are worried about Endeavor in general need to like see these parts just so that they can see that things aren't going just so smoothly, right? It's not going to be the easiest thing. And even in this chapter, Endeavor is like thinking about how he has to be a hero now, and then he like reflects on just what he did with his wife, that he pretty much let her fall into despair and all that. So I really do like what the author's doing with this, because you have Natsu on one side talking about the things that Endeavor's done wrong, and then you had the person who was hoping for things to get better, that being Fuyumi. Is she in the wrong for wanting to be a proper family? Not really, right? Because at the end of the day, these kids probably still love their father, and when you have that kind of attachment there, wanting to have a happy life with everyone that you used to have in your life, that's, I think, a natural desire, right? And it changes for abuse victims depending on how the victim sees the reality, right? Some aren't happy with the parents that they had. Some wanted their parents to get better. I think it's an okay thing to want your parent to get better, but I do think maybe Fuyumi's personal approach to this is a bit too quick, right? Like, she just seems to want to throw everything aside and go toward a happy life where they don't have to think about the past. And while, like, again, it makes sense, that perspective might be a bit too rushed. It's better that these things happen over the course of time. So Endeavor ultimately making the choice to want to atone is good, but now is the question of whether or not he's going to get the chance to atone, because now the tragedy with the character could be like he could get really close to having a happy life with his family, fixing his life, and then someone burns that away for him. So ultimately, I do want to say, like, I think my favorite moment with the whole part here is with the whole Endeavor thing is just him reflecting on the future that he cut short, and also him pointing out that he's not going to ask for forgiveness after he did that. So, you know, that was a pretty cool shot in general. That was just a pretty cool panel. And also him acknowledging that he picked the wrong words when he was talking to Natsu. So overall, I think this was a pretty solid chapter of Hero Academia. It has a lot of really cool things. We also had the little kid being turned into a propaganda tool. The guy that says, what was it? Can't you see? Or something. I thought that was pretty funny. Otherwise, there's a lot of things just revolving around Endeavor here, and whether or not he's going to be the #1 hero, how he's going to deal with things, stuff like that. And also his face scar. His face scar looks pretty cool. overall, yeah, I think this was a really good chapter. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of things, and I love that they added in that little bit with Izuku, the Izuku next chapter hook, kinda. So guys, let's see, how many minutes are we in? We're roughly 16 minutes in. Okay, so I'm gonna end it there. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're excited for the future of Hero Academia. I hope we get to see more of the Izuku stuff next chapter. But yeah, this is so cool. I'm pretty excited for Hero Academia. But so yeah, till next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.